Mr. Petty, you're running in constituency 20. Would you like to tell us why you chose that constituency and also why you chose to throw your hat in the ring in this election?
I've been following politics both while I've been abroad and subsequently having returned to Bermuda, and I feel that there needs to be new blood in the political landscape in Parliament. Never mind the politics of it all. We need some new ideas, and we need some skills and expertise that can help Bermuda in these tough times. I have a background in improving companies and consulting with governments on good governance, risk management, controls, performance improvement, and I feel that those are skills that I can lend through the Parliament of this country.
Why you in particular?
I've previously worked in the House of Assembly as the assistant clerk to the legislature in the 90s, for 97 to 98. I'm obviously vested. I'm Bermudian. I've been here for a good part of my life. I have spent a fair bit overseas, but that overseas experience has given me an understanding of what might be appropriate for Bermuda from an international perspective as well, and where we fit within the world. I feel that I can bring some knowledge to bear and skills to bear that we don't necessarily have within our Parliament at this point in time. I have connections with Pembroke Southwest. My family's lived there for many years. I've lived in Pembroke Southwest myself during the 90s. And by running in Pembroke Southwest, I feel I give the local constituents a potential representative who's interested in them. Currently it's seen as an OBA stronghold, and I get the impression that that they feel that they don't need to put someone there to canvass, as they'll just walk it. Well, I disagree. I feel that I want to add a challenge in that constituency. I don't feel it as running as an independent in that constituency might have the same impact as running independent in some fairly hard-fought constituencies between the OBA and the PLP. I think that the PLP perhaps doesn't have as strong contender or opportunity within Pembroke Southwest, and I hope to bring that as an independent candidate.
Why didn't you throw your hat in the PLP?
The PLP didn't ask me, for one thing. The OBA haven't asked me either. I'm interested in serving this country, and one of the reasons I'm interested in doing that as independent is so that I'm not muzzled in Parliament. When you have political parties running government and in opposition, you have a small cabinet and shadow cabinet making decisions that even other elected members have to abide by. This way I can actually bring forbearance within the House as well as outside, rather than sitting as a backbencher for another party or so forth. I mean, sorry.
You say that neither the OBA nor the PLP asked you. Did you approach either of them?
I did. I did not approach the PLP. I did approach the OBA, as I also think that, as I did when I ran in '98 for the UBP, that the government needed to change. At that point in time, I didn't expect the parties to change, and I thought that the UBP needed to change from within. I thought that was the best approach for me as a young Bermudian to get involved and make change. This time, I think the government needs to change. I'm not entirely sure it'll be an overall win by the PLP or the OBA, and I think independence will matter in this election. Each party has its challenges. I did attend town hall meetings for the PLP and as government to see if my views fit with theirs. I did the same for the OBA. I felt closer to the OBA in my views, although some of them I disagreed with. I looked to get more involved in their caucus, and I attended caucus for a period of time, and then I became somewhat disillusioned, and I didn't do that. I did ask them if they wanted someone such as myself representing them, and the response was the roster was full. So that was where we were on that, and I gave them the option, and they chose not to accept it. And I have to be honest, I'm comfortable running as an independent, and one thing I'll pledge is that if I run as an independent and I win as an independent, I won't be joining another political party while holding my role in government. If I should ever join a political party, walk the floor per se, then I will put I'll put myself up for by-election, so that the people who vote me in as an independent, I will support as an independent.
Have you been out canvassing yet?
I have not. I wanted to see where I stood, and today I've made that commitment to run as an independent, and I've taken the time off to spend all of the next month, pretty much from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. out canvassing all day, every day.
What do you see as the two biggest problems that face Bermuda and its electorate now?
The two biggest problems. Well, I think one of our major issues is the fact that we're seeing our GDP go through the floor and our debt go through the roof. We need to find a way to encourage businesses to invest in Bermuda and overseas holders of funds to invest in Bermuda while providing a degree of protection to Bermudians. Now, this is where I differ with both parties. I feel that the PLP has become too protectionist, and I feel that the OBA's solution to bring a 2-year moratorium to term limits is trying to, as I've said, it's trying to crack a nut with a sledgehammer. We need to be a bit more considerate to Bermudians, and we also need to look towards our international business. So I think that we need to think about our service history and providing that to international business. We need to make our process for key man work permits more agile and associated work permits. We need to find a way to create a concierge service to make sure that we can get businesses up here running quickly. We need to consider how people who come here as key persons for international business and bring us a great degree of revenue for our country, how we want to treat them in the long term, whether we look at permanent residence certificates for them. But at the same time, the balancing aspect is that we need to consider Bermudians who can do jobs as kitchen porters, as professionals, as non-professional workers, accountants, who are able to do those jobs and not simply put a moratorium on work term limits that don't allow us to don't essentially force us to invest in the local population. We need to invest in our people. We need to set expectations with them and with the people bringing funds to this island that we want Bermudians to be employed. We want Bermudians to be utilized. And I feel that just pushing in one direction for term limits sends the wrong message to Bermudians, and it sends the wrong message to international business. At the same time, creating too much of a protectionist environment essentially tells our international business to walk away, which they've been doing. So I think there needs to be more of a call it a surgical approach to it, if you will, to look at how we can make it work for both sides. That needs to be consultative. That needs to include the stakeholders that are involved from both sides, so that we can come to some form of agreement, and then make it work effectively and quickly, so that we can bring our GDP up and grow our revenue on this island, so that our people have revenues, our tax revenues become greater for our government to then plow back into our economy and create more work for our locals. That's essential for us.
And you think that you can make a big...
Sorry, that was... I must admit that was one. I didn't really get to the second.
Well, you hadn't mentioned the second one.
No, but to answer your more recent question, yes, I do think I can make a great change in that. My background is in change management. My background is in helping entities such as governments and private sector companies to be more effective and to manage change appropriately.
the economy as one problem. What do you see now as the second problem?
We need to grow our people's service and capabilities around their expectations. I've heard certain folks refer to this as a sense of entitlement. I do see that as an issue. I see that as something that creates barriers between ourselves and the rest of the world. And I think that's about expectations that we set in education, in our young people, in the way that we move forward as a country. And we need to empower our teachers, we need to empower our youth, we need to give them support. Those are the two biggest factors. I mean, there are other factors around supporting providing support to those who can't support themselves, whether they be homeless, sick, elderly folks who haven't put funds aside. And there's aspects around that. I think a social conscience, more of a social conscience is needed in Bermuda than currently exists today.
So you'll be out canvassing, you say, starting tomorrow?
I certainly will, and I shall be canvassing through to the election.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.